Hey, I'm Paul with Rack Attack, and this is the Yakima HighSpeed rooftop bicycle carrier. This is Yakima's premium fork mount rooftop bicycle carrier, and it has compatibility with standard quick release axled front forks as well as through axle front forks. So in this video, we'll go into detail about how to fit bicycles to the carrier, as well as how to fit the carrier to crossbars. We'll also load and unload a bike onto this carrier to demonstrate the mechanism and how it's held. And we'll cover the security options that are included with this carrier. Okay, so first up here we have a standard quick release fork with the front wheel removed, and we've attached the included axle spacer and 9mm quick release. So the way this works is after the front wheel is removed, the axle spacer and the 9mm quick release are installed. It is important that the tips of the fork on the bike that's being carried does have the safety tabs. That would prevent the spacer from falling out of the tips of the fork, even if the quick release skewer were to come loose on its own. Okay, so next step is you just drop that axle spacer into the clamping unit of the carrier and then begin turning the knob. And as you turn, it'll get progressively harder until the clutch kicks in, which indicates you've reached the safety tightness for clamping that axle spacer in. Okay, and now we have an example of a through axle bike. Here again, we have already removed the front wheel. We set the bike into the carrier, set the through axle into the front clamping unit, and then begin tightening the knob. And in the same way, we tighten that knob until we get the click, ensuring we've reached the correct tightness. Now for both bicycles and other bicycles, the clamping of the rear wheel is the same. So the rear wheel cradle can slide back and forth along the length of the tray within a range. It's best to have that strap positioned directly below the axle and in between two spokes. So then we take the strap and we run that strap and get a firm grip on the back wheel. And here we have one other example with a mountain bike which has a 15mm through axle. And also notice we have clearance for disc brake rotors and accommodation for the long wheelbase on a trail mountain bike. Okay, now let's go ahead and install the Yakima HighSpeed onto this vehicle that's equipped with the Yakima roof rack and Yakima Jetstream load bars. So first step, I'll just open up this door so I can get up to the height on this taller SUV. And we have the rubber cradles, which I'll set just to the inside of the tower. And we also have another cradle for the rear, which will go positioned at the rear bar. Now, each of these cradles has a nice contour to match the shape of the bar. And then we have the rubberized stainless steel bands that will grip to the underside of the bar. Now, this clip on the top side can be adjusted and fine-tuned to get just the right amount of grip so it has a secure attachment. Now, the one on the back, it has a Yakima SKS lock housing, which would allow us to insert a Yakima lock core from a matched set. Okay, now let's load up a bike. First step to load up a bike is get the rack ready to accept the bike when you're loading. So I'm gonna go ahead and, on this taller SUV, stand up on the threshold here and release the rear wheel strap. I'll also make sure that the clamping mechanism here is open wide, ready to accept the through axle. Now on this bike, I need to go ahead and take off the front wheel. And so I'll remove the through axle. Now, with the front wheel removed, you can either, of course, load that back into the vehicle, or if you have a Yakima front wheel holder, you could load that at this point onto your front wheel holder. Now I'm going to reinstall the through axle, and then I'm going to grab the bike at the lowest part of the frame and fork as I can to maintain good stability, get the bike up and get the rear wheel into the rear wheel tray, and then bring the bike into the vertical position, and with both hands guide the through axle into the clamp and then begin tightening. And I'll continue to tighten until the clutch in this handle clicks. That way I know I've reached the correct tightness. Here at the rear, I'll go ahead and bring the rear wheel cradle directly under the rear axle, and then I can go ahead and cinch down the rear wheel snug. Now the bike is ready for transport. Next, let's take a look at the security. We discussed that there is security to lock the bicycle carrier to the load bars, but there's also security to lock the bike to the carrier. So housed in the back of this tray is a cable that can be looped around the frame. There's a floating lockdown point here, which we snap into the lock housing. Now, this does require the Yakima SKS lock core, which are sold separately, as is the lock core for locking the carrier to the crossbar. In addition to the cable lock security, there's also another lock housing to lock the turn knob using one more Yakima SKS lock core, which is sold separately. Okay, well, those are all the key features of the Yakima HighSpeed rooftop bicycle carrier. This product and the full line of Yakima products are available at rackattack.com. Please see the link in the video description for all your buying options. If you have any questions or comments about this product in particular, feel free to leave those in the comment section below, and consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. We have over 2,000 rack-related videos, and we upload new videos weekly. That's all for this one, and thanks for watching.